The pregnant golden retriever was chained to a tree, her soft whimpers swallowed by the howling wind. What happened next would bring tears to the eyes of everyone who heard the story. If this story touches your heart, please like, share, and let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. The wind roared outside the Tartar family home like a living creature in pain. It clawed at the windows, rattling the panes with such fury that they trembled in their frames. Rain hurled itself against the glass in violent ways as if trying to break into the warmth and safety inside. The small town of Willow Creek rarely saw storms like this. But tonight, nature was raging. 5-year-old Noah Tartar stood at the living room window, his tiny hands pressed against the cold glass. His nose left a faint throb where he leaned in, wide-eyed, watching as tree branches danced wildly in the wind. "Dinner's almost ready, Noah," his mother Sarah called from the kitchen, her voice struggling to compete with the storm's relentless wail. The scent of chicken pot pie filled the house, a comfort clashing with the cold draft that slipped through every crack and seam. Daniel, Noah's father, folded his newspaper and leaned forward to get a better look at his son. "Quite the storm, huh, buddy? You're not scared, are you?" Noah shook his head slowly, his bright blue eyes shimmering not with fear, but fascination. "The trees are dancing, Daddy," he said softly. "They're telling stories." Daniel chuckled. "You've always had a big imagination, kiddo." Noah wasn't like other children. He felt things deeply. Saw things others overlooked. Where others might dismiss the wind as noise, Noah heard whispers. And tonight, he heard something more. A brilliant flash lit up the sky, casting everything in an eerie electric glow. The thunder followed almost instantly, a deep, bone-shaking rumble that made the walls quiver. The lights flickered ominously before settling again. "I hope we don't lose power," Sarah sighed as she placed the steaming pot pie on the dining table. "Noah, come eat before it gets," she paused mid-sentence. Noah hadn't moved. His little face was still pressed against the window. His body had gone rigid. His eyes, so full of wonder moments ago, now reflected something else: concern. "Noah," Daniel called, putting down the paper. "Dinner time, son." But Noah didn't budge. He tilted his head, listening, really listening through the chaos outside. "Mommy," he whispered. "Someone's crying." Sarah and Daniel exchanged a quick glance. "It's just the wind, sweetie," Sarah reassured, walking over. "Come sit down." Noah shook his head more firmly. "No. Someone's crying. Listen." Daniel stood and walked over to humor his son. He placed a steady hand on Noah's shoulder. "All I hear is the storm, buddy." Then they heard it. A soft, high-pitched whine, almost swallowed by the wind, but then faint, desperate. Like the sound of something frightened and alone. "There," Noah explained. "Do you hear it? Someone's scared." Sarah leaned in next, straining to catch it. Again, the sound came clearer now. A desperate plea in the middle of nature's fury. "Is it Mrs. Jenkins' cat again?" Sarah wondered, thinking of the neighbor's mischievous tabby that often got into trouble. But Noah was already on the move. He darted toward the front door, his small fingers fumbling with the lock. "Noah, wait!" Daniel called after him. "You can't go out in the storm." "She's begging for help," Noah insisted. "She's hurt. I can feel it." Daniel's frown deepened. He grabbed the flashlight and his rain jacket. "I'll check it out. You stay here with Mommy." "No." Noah stomped his foot, tears welling in his eyes. "She needs me." "I know she does." It wasn't the usual tantrum of a 5-year-old. There was urgency in his voice. Purpose in his face. Even Sarah could see it. This wasn't ordinary. "I'll go with you," she said softly, placing a hand on Daniel's arm. "We shouldn't ignore this." Moments later, with toast sipped and flashlight in hand, the family stepped into the storm. The rain hit them like icy needles and the wind nearly knocked Sarah off balance. But Noah pressed forward, unafraid, tugging his parents toward the sound. And then they saw him. Near the edge of their property, beneath a towering oak tree, a golden retriever lay soaked and trembling. Her fur, once a soft honey gold, was matted with mud and leaves. Her eyes, warm amber and full of pain, lifted weakly to meet them. She whimpered, a sound so heartbreaking that Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Oh my God," Sarah breathed. "She's pregnant." A thick, rusted chain was wrapped tightly around the base of the oak, fastened to the dog's collar with a padlock. She had been left in. Alone. Exposed to the storm. Noah didn't hesitate. He dropped to his knees beside her, the mud soaking through his pants unnoticed. "It's okay," he whispered gently. "We're here now. We'll help you." The dog let out a low whine, her head twitching slightly toward the boy. The chain rattled as she tried to shift, but it held her firmly in place. "Someone did this to her," Daniel said through clenched teeth. "Someone left her here to die." Sarah crouched beside them, her fingers fumbling for the lock. "We need to cut this chain." I'll get the bolt cutters, Daniel said. And we need to call the police. Tried, but cell service is probably down, Sarah warned, pulling her coat tighter. Daniel nodded grimly. Stay here with him. I'll be right back. As he ran toward the house, the storm surged again, wind howling through the trees. But none of it seemed to touch Noah. He sat close to the retriever, his hand resting softly on her side. She's so strong, Mommy, he said in awe. But she's tired. Sarah looked at her son, only 5 years old, and saw something she couldn't explain. A calmness. A connection. Like he understood the dog in a way no adult ever could. Noah shifted closer, his small body instinctively becoming a source of comfort for the trembling golden retriever. His fingers barely touched her fur, afraid to hurt her further, but his presence seemed to ease her pain. The dog leaned against him, eyes fluttering closed for a moment, as if surrendering to the safety he offered. She trusts you, Sarah whispered, brushing soaked strands of hair from her face. She knows I won't leave her, Noah said quietly. Moments later, Daniel returned, soaked through, a pair of heavy bolt cutters in hand. He dropped to his knees beside the chain, hands working quickly despite the cold. Who would do this? Sarah asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Leave a pregnant dog chained up in a storm? I don't know, Daniel muttered. But I don't like it, and I swear. When I came back through the woods, I felt like someone was watching us. Sarah's eyes widened. Watching us? I'm not sure, he admitted. Could have been nothing, but just in case I want us inside. Now, with a loud clank, the bolt cutters severed the chain. The tension released, and the golden retriever slunked forward with a soft grunt. Noah, step back a little, Daniel instructed gently, easing the dog upright with Sarah's help. I want to stay with her, Noah insisted. I know, Daniel said, his voice softening. Help me support her then, but go slow. Despite her exhaustion, the dog took a shaky step, then another. She's so strong, Noah murmured in awe. The rain continued to pour, and the wind howled around them as the family made their way carefully back to the house. Sarah led with the flashlight, guiding their every step. Daniel supported the dog on one side while Noah pressed in gently from the other, steadying him. You're almost there, Noah whispered. We've got you. By the time they reached the porch, all three were covered in mud. Inside, the house was warm and welcoming, the fireplace crackling in contrast to the chaos outside. But something in the air had shifted. Inside, a new kind of storm was forming, one of pain, of birth, and of hope. They laid the retriever on a thick pile of towels near the fireplace. Sarah fetched blankets and dry clothes while Daniel called the emergency vet. To their relief, the landline still worked. Within minutes, he was on the phone with Dr. Harris, the local veterinarian. She's in labor, Daniel said urgently. Pregnant golden retriever. She was chained outside during the storm. She's weak, and she's starting to push. Don't move her, Dr. Harris replied. I'll be there as soon as the road's clear. Outside, the wind shrieked again, and something heavy thudded against the side of the house. Sarah jumped, heart pounding. Was that a branch? Was someone trying to look through the windows? Daniel muttered, checking the curtains and locking the front door again. They were safe for now. Lying on her side, the dog let out a low moan. Her muscles tightened, her body trembling. She's having a contraction, Sarah said, eyes wide. Noah knelt beside her again. It's okay, he whispered. You can do this. I believe in you. The dog's amber eyes looked onto his, and for a moment, Sarah felt something pass between them. A silence exchange deeper than language. Something ancient, sacred. She shivered. Dr. Harris arrived nearly an hour later, breathless but calm, her medical bags slung over her shoulder. She started labor already? She asked, kneeling beside the dog. She's had one puppy, Daniel said, lifting a small, wet towel to reveal a tiny golden pup nestled against its mother. We're calling her Luna, Dr. Harris smiled. Beautiful name. She's lucky to have you. She's a good mama, Noah whispered, gently stroking Luna's ear. The dog's eyes fluttered at his touch, Then another contraction hit. Luna whined, her body writhing in pain as the second puppy made its way into the world. Sarah helped Dr. Harris clean the pup while Noah sat close, humming softly, keeping Luna calm. Just as the second puppy was born, a particularly violent gust of wind slammed against the house, making everyone jump. Something scraped against the outside wall. Slowly, deliberately, Daniel moved quickly, lifting every door and window again. "Call the police," Sarah urged. "I will," he said. "But service is still sketchy. I'll try from the tongue." "Lock the doors behind me," Sarah nodded, her throat tight with fear as Daniel slipped out. Inside, Luna strained again. The third puppy arrived, then a fourth. But by the fifth, something was wrong. Luna's breathing turned rapid and shallow. She whimpered, clearly in distress. Dr. Harris moved quickly, checking her pulse, her bones, her vitals. "She's fading," the vet said grimly. "She needs fluids. She needs rest. This last pup may be too much." "You can do it, Luna," Noah whispered, resting his forehead gently against hers. "I'm right here. Don't be scared." And somehow those words, spoken by a child with muddy knees and trembling hands, reached him. With one last effort, Luna delivered the fifth puppy. "Strong girl," Dr. Harris murmured, wrapping the pup in a woolen towel. As Luna panted, exhausted, she turned her head weakly toward Noah and licked his hand. He smiled through his tears. "You saved me," he whispered. "You are the bravest dog in the whole world." Outside, the storm finally began to ease. The wind calmed to a whisper, and through the window, a soft silver light spilled across the yard. The clouds parted to reveal a full moon. "She's a moon dog," Noah said, watching the glow reflect off Luna's fur. "That's why her name is perfect." Just as Sarah was about to comment on the strange coincidence, a loud knock at the door made her jump. "Daniel?" she called, moving cautiously toward it. "It's me," came his voice. "I brought Dr. Harris." But her relief was short-lived. A second knock, harder, echoed seconds later, this time from the back door. Sarah froze mid-step. The front door stood before her, Daniel and Dr. Harris on the other side. But the second knock had come from the back of the house. The knock came again, slow, deliberate. Not the wind. Not by accident. "Daniel?" Sarah called, her voice tense. "Did you go around back?" "No," came his reply immediately, concern spiking in his tone. "Why?" "There's someone at the back door." Daniel didn't hesitate. He turned to the deputy sheriff who had accompanied Dr. Harris, explaining the situation in hushed, urgent tones. The deputy moved quickly, hand on his holstered weapon. Sarah stepped back, scooping up Noah and pulling him behind him. Luna, still exhausted but fiercely alert now, lifted her head and growled weakly, her instincts sharp despite her fragile condition. A moment later, the deputy opened the front door and entered cautiously. He moved toward the back, flashlight drawn, and slowly cracked open the curtain to peek through. Nothing. Just trees. Shadows. Rain dripping from branches. He opened the door a few inches and swept the beam of light through the yard. It caught movement for a split second, too fast to identify, but whatever it was had already vanished. "Could have been a fox," he muttered. "Was someone testing to see if we'd answer?" His jaw clenched. "Locked up tight tonight." Sarah nodded, her heart racing. "Whoever left that dog, may not be happy they lost her," the deputy finished grimly. "We'll keep an eye out. But for now you're safe." As the door was secured once more, Dr. Harris turned her attention back to Luna. She had been monitoring the retriever's breathing, checking each pup for signs of distress. "She's doing better," she announced. "Still weak, but her vitals are stabilizing. The puppies are feeding well." "That's a good sign." Noah beamed. "Can we take them home?" Dr. Harris hesitated. "Luna still needs medical care. She's been through so much. I'd like to keep her overnight." Daniel agreed. "We'll visit tomorrow." "Right, Noah?" Noah nodded slowly, his hand still resting gently on Luna's head. "She knows. I told her." Dr. Harris tilted her head. "Told her?" Noah looked up, calm and serious. "She wants to stay with us." Sarah smiled softly. "That's sweet, honey." "No," he said firmly. "She told me." Before Sarah could respond, the clinic door chimed. Everyone turned. A tall man entered, dressed in a sleek black coat, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Blackwood," Dr. Harris said wearily. He nodded slightly. I'm here for my dog. Noah instinctively moved closer to Luna, shielding her with his small body. Dr. Harris hesitated. Do you have proof of ownership? Blackwood reached into his pocket, slowly, everyone tensing, and pulled out a small leather wallet. Inside were registration papers, a veterinary license, and ID. These appear legitimate, Dr. Harris admitted reluctantly. But she was found abandoned and injured, Daniel interjected. The sheriff's been notified. We started an investigation. As you should, Blackwood said smoothly. But she belongs to me. Dr. Harris's eyes narrowed. She came in injured, malnourished, and left to give birth in a storm. As of that, I'm obligated to report suspected abuse. The next morning, sunlight poured through the windows, casting golden streaks across the floorboards. The storm had passed, but in its wake, it left something deeper than broken branches and soggy leaves. It left questions, uncertainty, and a bond that could no longer be ignored. Sarah stepped into the hallway and found Noah already awake, fully dressed, bouncing on his toes by the front door. We need to go see Luna and her puppies, he said, his voice brimming with urgency. Sarah smiled gently. Breakfast first. Luna will still be there after a bowl of cereal. Noah groaned but obeyed, scarfing down spoonfuls with such speed that Sarah feared he might inhale the spoon too. Daniel joined them at the table, rubbing his temples from the sleepless night. The weight of everything that had happened. The chained golden retriever, the storm, Blackwood's visit, still clung to them like fog. She wants to stay with us, Noah said between bites. I promised I'd come back. Sarah and Daniel exchanged glances. They had talked about it in whispers after Noah had gone to bed. The bond between their son and Luna was undeniable. But could they really take in a mother dog and 5 puppies? It's a big responsibility, Daniel began gently. Luna and all those pups need space, food, Tan. I know, Noah said, looking down at his bowl. But I can help. She wants to stay with us. She told me. Before Sarah could respond, the front door chimed. At the clinic, Luna lay curled in her recovery bed. 5 tiny golden puppies nestled against her. She looked up as Noah walked in and immediately lifted her head, tail thumping weakly against the blankets. She remembers me, Noah whispered, rushing to her side. She never forgot you, Sarah said softly. Dr. Harris smiled at the sight of the boy and dog reunited. But before anyone could say more, the front desk bell rang again. And in walked Victor Blackwood. This time he was not alone. A man in a gray suit followed him, briefcase in hand. I believe we have some legal matters to resolve, the man said, his voice slick and rehearsed. We're here to collect the dog and her offspring. Dr. Harris's face hardened. There's still an investigation. Sheriff Wilson placed a hold on Luna's release. Not anymore, the attorney said. This is a court order, signed by Judge Reynolds. He wasn't aware of any conflicting microchip records when he issued the first one, but this second order overrides the prior stay. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. Dr. Harris scanned the paperwork, her expression tightening. This appears legitimate. That's right, Blackwood said with a thin smile. Now, if you don't mind. But before he could finish, the clinic door burst open. Sheriff Wilson stepped in, a manila envelope in his hand. Hold everything, he said. We've got new information. He walked past Blackwood and handed the envelope to Dr. Harris. Microchip scan turned up a second owner registration from 3 years ago, he said. An animal rescue based out of state. Luna wasn't adopted. She was stolen. Blackwood scoffed. That's nonsense. Is it? Sheriff Wilson asked calmly. Because that rescue has been looking for her ever since. And they've confirmed, with documentation, that she was pregnant before you took her. And now that we've identified her real owner, your court order is invalid. The attorney opened his mouth, but Wilson held up a hand. Don't bother. We're opening a full investigation into animal abuse, unlawful possession, and potential trafficking. Blackwood's face twisted, but the sheriff wasn't finished. You're not walking out of here with anyone, Mr. Blackwood. In fact, you're not walking out at all. Deputy officers stepped in from the hallway, surrounding him. Blackwood's voice turned cold. You'll regret this, All of you. He turned his gaze on Noah, who stood protectively in front of Luna. You especially. But this time the boy didn't flinch. I'm not scared of you, Noah said. Blackwood's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, something flickered in his expression. Then, just as quickly, it vanished. The officers cuffed him and led him away. The room fell silent. Dr. Harris knelt beside Luna, running a gentle hand along her side. She's going to be okay, she said quietly. So are the puppies. And thanks to that scan, we may have just cracked something much bigger than we realized. Sarah knelt beside Noah. You were very brave, sweetheart. I had to be, Noah whispered, stroking Luna's ear. She needed me. Over the next few hours, the clinic filled with more officers, rescue officials, and journalists. Word spread fast in Willow Creek. Luna was a hero. The brave golden retriever who'd escaped her captor, given birth during a storm, and helped bring down an animal trafficking ring. But none of that mattered to Noah. Not really. All he wanted was to sit beside Luna, to keep her warm, to whisper quiet things that only she seemed to understand. Late that night, as they drove home, Sarah glanced in the rearview mirror. Noah was asleep, his head resting against the window. Daniel reached over and gently took her hand. He was something else today, Sarah nodded. The way he stood up to Blackwood. The way he talked to Luna like they shared a language. They do, Daniel said. It's like they know each other. They rode in silence for a few minutes, the quiet hum of the tires the only sound. Back at home, Sarah tucked Noah into bed. She bent to kiss his forehead but paused when she heard him whispering. His lips barely moved, but the words were clear. Don't worry, Luna. I won't let the bad man take you. I promise. Sarah's chest tightened. She kissed his cheek and closed his door gently behind her. Downstairs, Daniel waited with a cup of tea. He's still thinking about her, Sarah said softly. I know. They didn't say more. They didn't need to. Because somehow, deep inside, they both knew the story wasn't over.